Hi, my name is Keri Barnum. I am here for New Shelves Books and Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday where we get together, talk about books, publishing, marketing, anything having to do with the business of being an author. We answer questions live, and you can join us by coming to newshelves.com/FAF, or you can always email your questions into info@newshelves.com and catch the replay on YouTube, which is youtube.com/newshelvesbooks. So we've got questions live today we're going to jump into, as well as quite a few questions that were emailed in. So the first question is from David asking if I have any thoughts about the Aereo platform closing. So for those of you who do not know, Aereo was an online sales platform that you could access through IngramSpark. So your print-on-demand books through IngramSpark were sold in like a web store, and you could have your own store and access that. And essentially what's happening is it's closing. I actually believe it closed February 1st, and they are trying to have all royalties paid out in April, I believe. So it's no longer accessible. And kind of what happened is they're like, hey, not enough people are using it. Now, a lot of people are saying that you can go over to bookshop.org and set up your own store there. Bookshop.org does allow you to set up your own store. You can get an affiliate link. So any books that are sold, whether they be yours or other people's, just like Aereo, you can get an affiliate on, and so you can do it that way. But that's kind of what it's doing. And we're also noticing that the American Bookseller Association is also moving over to bookshop.org. So the ABA used to use indiebound.org to funnel book sales and things through, and they are moving over to bookshop.org. So what we're really seeing is bookshop.org is kind of gained popularity. It's got consumer trust, and we're seeing some of these smaller markets that maybe weren't as sustainable are gladly shifting that over to bookshop.org, and we're seeing a lot more of the indie direct book sales going through bookshop.org. And bookshop.org, for those of you who don't know, is an online sales platform where you can search a book, and then when you order it, you actually order it from your local bookseller. So that's where you'd pick it up from, or if you're getting it shipped, you'd go through them. So it supports local bookstores. It was started in 2020, partially as a response to the pandemic and everything closing down. So bookshop.org does give back to indie bookstores and supports them there. So we're seeing a lot of that kind of shift over. And as is being noted, the Aereo online sales platform wasn't the best. It was never like, wow, this is the best thing ever. So again, I think bookshop.org is going to be a nice option for those who were using it. And I know that's kind of what's being supported and suggested through IngramSpark. And again, IndieBound and the ABA are now kind of saying, hey, go to Bookshop. It's trusted, it's easy, and let's build that up. What are the best promotional in-person handout materials? Do postcards work? Can you put a code for an Amazon discount on it? So you cannot do an Amazon discount as a KDP author. You don't have that access. But what you can do is you can do a QR code that takes them directly to your Amazon sales page or to your website. And as far as promotional materials, I think anything that's unique that stands out is always helpful, but be mindful of size and who your audience is. Are you giving this out at an author event? Are you giving this out at a book signing event? Or is this something you're hoping to have on hand so when you meet people, you can give it to them? If so, who are those people? Are they business executives? Are they parents and moms and dads? Are they teachers? Because that also will kind of change what you would want to have on hand. If you are meeting with executives and business people, you probably want to go with a business card, something that they're used to holding, can fit easily in their pocket, and it's not cumbersome. If you are, for example, going to an author event or people are coming specifically for books, you can go bookmarks, postcards. We've talked about all sorts of things from squish balls to chapstick, unique things like that. So it really depends on your market and where you're hoping to use these items at for in-person materials. But think of your audience and think of where you're going to meet them at, and then make sure that whatever you give them, we want it to be memorable, but we want it to be convenient as well. So keep that in mind. And make sure you have your contact information on whatever it is. See this mistake all the time. People have a QR code that goes to Amazon. They'll have all of their book information, but they don't have like a website or an email address where people can get in touch with you directly, which you definitely want. Let's see, what is my favorite program for changing English into another language? So for that question, Julie, if you were talking about true translation, like for a book, I think you need to go with an actual like translation company. But if you're trying to do a quick translation, like I've done quick translations for like Author Central when putting up a bio in multiple language, and I'll use Google Translate for that. But if you are trying to translate a book, you need to go through a translation company so that you can actually go through and make sure that you are getting the translation correct, number one, and also making sure that you are using it in the way that that culture does. Because even though there could be a word for word translation, that's not always how another culture speaks. So it looks very disjointed. So I think that's something you definitely want to be careful of. Let's see, when you have a really good sales for a month, 500 plus, is bragging on it, presenting social media proof, if you announce it on Facebook, does that kind of promotion help or hurt? So here's the thing. When you have big sales or a big thing, you hit bestseller, you have big sales, you've got a really big name endorsement. It's great to share it on social media because it provides social proof, but you want to be very careful on how you present that. If you say, I can't believe we broke 500 sales last month. You guys, your support has been amazing. Thank you for reading. Thank you for reviewing. And thank you for giving my story life. That is a good post. If you say, I got 500 sales last night, look at me, that's a little bit different. So it's all in the delivery. If you say, wow, thank you for your support. It helped leverage me up to a #1 bestseller. This has been a dream of mine as an author. Thank you. Get how one of them is thanking your audience for their support and making it a group effort, and the other feels more like bragging. I think that's the difference, is when you are sharing to celebrate and thank your audience for joining you on this journey, it's appreciated and it provides that social proof. But if you're just putting it out there to say, hey, look at me, that feels a little bit cringy. So I wouldn't do that. So think about the delivery and think about how you can not just tell your audience that you hit something big, but how you can incorporate them into the celebration. And I think that'll make a big difference. Let me see, any recommendations for a good place to find an author publishing VA? There are quite a few places and people with VAs. I think the thing is that with author VAs, so many things are specific. So there are like programs like the Nonfiction Author Association actually has like a book marketing training program they do. So people go through that, and then they have a list of people that you can hire. Some people will find you on Fiverr or different things like that. I think it's just really important whenever finding a VA that #1, you know specifically what task you're asking them to take on, and you really are honest with yourself if this is something the average VA can take on, or if this is specialized training for the publishing industry. And if it's specialized training for the publishing industry, are you expecting them to have that knowledge? If so, you better expect to pay them more. Or are you expecting to have to train them on these things? Then just know it's going to be a lot of time up front. And so also know that if you're working with a VA, they can go with someone else. They can leave at any time. So that's an investment you just have to think about. But those are the places I would kind of look for other authors and people who are using VAs, ask in author groups and see if they have any recommendations, because a lot of times you can find great people that way, because a lot of VAs do work on like hourly, or they'll do 5 hours for one author, 10 hours for another, that kind of thing. Let's see. Can bookshop.org order small amounts of books like 1 to 3? Absolutely. You can order any number of books through bookshop.org. Just keep in mind, these are not discount books. These are direct to retail books. So you can sell it like a shop and people would, be able to order them. And you get a kickback on it if you use a shop and an affiliate link, but it's not discounted. So these are not where you would get your author copies. Your author copies you typically want to get from the back end of IngramSpark or KDP. How do you set up a sales code to discount your books on Amazon? You do not, and you cannot. We don't have sales codes for Amazon. The only way to do promo codes on Amazon is if you have a Seller Central account, which is a completely different setup. But if you're using print on demand, we don't have access to discount codes. It's not something we can do. Now we can drop our price down and discount our book for a certain amount of time, but we cannot create discount codes. That's not access we have. If you're not on Kindle Unlimited, you could certainly sell direct from your website and you could have discount codes for like your online store, but not directly through Amazon. Would you compare bookshop.org and Amazon? Sure. So Amazon, as we know, is this huge online store where people go and they order everything online. You can get everything from groceries to books to, clothes. You can get pretty much everything. You could probably get like a shed or a mini house on Amazon. So it's this well-known, trusted machine that sells just about everything. The difference between Amazon and bookshop.org is bookshop.org is just books. It's book focused. It is built in as a way to support our local indie bookstores. So rather than giving our sales to Amazon.com, which is a huge company with lots of money and lots of market in the book market specifically, Amazon is estimated to have about 91% of the ebook market and 56% of the print market at least. So they have a huge amount of the publishing market. Excuse me. And so a lot of people don't like supporting big business, big corporate business. And so then we have our indie bookstores, and our indie bookstores are typically owned by families, they're owned by individual owners, and a lot of them have been around in our neighborhoods for a long time. So bookshop.org, what they do is they have created this giant sales platform for books only that actually funnels the book orders through individual bookstores. So if I were to go and order a book from bookshop.org, I can search any book that's on Ingram essentially. And when I do that and I order a book, it'll say, okay, great. Your local bookstore is Liftbridge Bookshop. Would you like to ship or pick up? And I have like different options of what I can do. So Bookshop is just books and it's meant to support indie bookstores, which as an author, I think that we should all really be mindful of that we should be supporting the bookstores, not just by going in, but if we're going to do our online shopping, consider shopping through bookshop.org. So that's the main differences right there. See, when uploading to Amazon KDP, should you check that box marked Add Digital Rights Management, or does it matter? So the Digital Rights Management, or DRM, is like an added protection on your ebook file. Here's the thing though, it's meant as added protection, but anyone who actually wanted to steal your files and hack your files could get around it in seconds, possibly, maybe minutes, but if they really want to get around it, they can get around it really quickly. So it does add this small measure of protection, but what it can also do is it can frustrate your true readers when they're trying to use your file on different devices. It can block them. Some accessibility features or plugins that people may use, it can give them a hard time. So generally speaking, I don't recommend that you use the DRM or the digital rights management because it's not giving you that much protection. I think it's a false sense of security, and it could very well frustrate your actual reader that you want to have free access to your book. I've used the analogy before of it's a little bit like having a screen front door and using like the lock on the screen front door and feeling safe. Well, if I really wanted to break into your house, I could take a knife or something and I just cut screen, or I could probably like barely put some pressure on it, and that screen door is going to come open. That's what DRM is kind of like. And so it's meant as a protection, but it has some drawbacks, and I personally do not use DRM for that reason. But of course, as the publisher, you get to make that decision for yourself. Oh, I just got my first book published and received it on Wednesday. Yay, congratulations. I immediately got calls, one to be in the LA Times Festival of Books for $7.49. Is this usual and legit? Welcome to the world of preying on authors. Not saying that in particular, I'm not saying it's a scam, but here is the thing. When you publish, especially if you publish through certain companies, so if you're using certain companies as a hybrid publisher, as a vanity press, or if you're using certain companies' services to get your book ready to publish, what they do is they sell their author list. They sell your information to companies who want to market to authors, and they sell your information. So you'll get calls and emails and all sorts of things offering you marketing. They'll say, oh, we think that your book could be republished and make so much more money, all sorts of things. I've seen it all. My rule of thumb typically is, number one, if you didn't sign up for their list or you didn't contact them first, be wary. Number two, search it online, go to author groups, search it online. Is the outlet that they are marketing for, is it legitimate? Is it well known? So you said LA Times. So LA Times is well known. What about the LA Times Festival of Books? You want to look into that. Then you want to look, is this coming directly from the LA Times? Can I go to the LA Times website, go to their marketing tab and find this as an offering there? Or is it being sold through a third party? And so it does take a little bit of work. You will grow to spot these and the ones that are predatory for sure. And so I see a lot of people do this, and I see a lot of people get burned. I speak to authors literally every week. I spoke to one this week. I spoke to 2 or 3 last week, who are burned by people in the publishing industry who are predatory, who either offer services that they don't actually give, that have constant add-ons to where a book is costing them 25, 30,000 to get it out, and it's not even great or well done with distribution. There's no marketing. And there's always someone trying to offer you something. So again, my rules are, did you contact them first or sign up for their list first? And then go out and research them if you truly think it might be something you want to pursue, and just proceed with caution. They should be able to give you information. You should be able to find information about them and people who've used their services. Do you know why Aereo discontinued their online bookstore services? Yep, same thing. We kind of already talked about this in the beginning. Why? I think it just was a lot of upkeep, and I don't think they're getting the return on the investment there. So they said, hey, we'll just link right into bookshop.org. Simplicity. Let me see. I recently changed my book blurb on Amazon. How do I get it changed on all the other venues like bookshop.org? So you have to change your book blurb. If you're looking for it to be changed everywhere, you have to change it everywhere you uploaded your book. So did you change it on IngramSpark? Because IngramSpark is where all the retailers come from. So Ingram Wholesale goes out to barnesandnoble.com, bookshop.org, it goes out to Books A Million. So you want to make sure that you change your description. If you want it changed everywhere, change it on IngramSpark. You also change it on KDP directly for Amazon. Then you want to think about your ebook. Did you use IngramSpark to distribute your ebook, or Draft to Digital, or Smashwords? You want to change it there as well. So anywhere your book has been uploaded, you want to change the description. Then you got to think about all your author profiles and where you uploaded your description for that. For instance, Goodreads. Did you have a description up on BookBub that maybe needs to be updated? Although most of their stuff does actually get pulled from other places. Is it on your website? Does it need to be changed there? So it is definitely one of those things where you want to everywhere that you originally uploaded the book, you want to go back and check that. I received a notice from Amazon promoting sponsored brands. What are the benefits, drawbacks of sponsored products versus sponsored brands? So sponsored products is a single product. This is where you're using keywords to boost a single product in the search algorithm so your book can be seen more. That's what most of us know as Amazon ads. Sponsored brands is when you have 3 products or more that are branded together. So if you've ever done a search on Amazon and you see like 3 products in a bar across the top, that is going to be your sponsored brand. Typically sponsored brands are something you might consider if you have like standalone thrillers that are all kind of the same genre. So like if you do domestic thrillers and you have 10 of them, you might do a sponsored brand ad. If you have a series, you might do it. Just know that sponsored brand ads typically do cost more per click. There's not as much competition as my experience, but the prices are higher per click. So it depends on how much you could earn on your backlist, if that's worth it or not. But you do need to have 3 books or more for that. Let me see. Other than author events, I only sell my book on Amazon. When I get ready to upload my 3rd picture book, what is the sequence of uploading? Ebook and paperback first to Amazon and then hardcover to Ingram. Sequence doesn't actually really matter. So you want to make sure that you upload your book. In my advice is you want to upload your book both directly to KDP for Amazon and to IngramSpark for your print copies. So you would want to get your KDP book up on ebook and paperback, and you can just upload them. You don't have to make them go live right away, but you want to upload them, make sure you're getting a proof, all that good stuff. So upload them there. At the same time, you want to upload your paperback, and if you have a hardcover, your hardcover to IngramSpark and be getting proofs there. Now, the one caveat is if you're not sure about your spine or you think you might have printing issues, this is your first book, you may want to go ahead and get a proof from Amazon before uploading to IngramSpark. The only reason I say that is because IngramSpark does charge an upload fee of $49. So if there are major problems with your book cover file or your interior and you've uploaded them to KDP and IngramSpark, and then you find out you have to change those files, you're going to have to pay a revision fee. So if that's the case, I may say do KDP, get a print proof first, and then do IngramSpark. But if you're a pro at this, I would do them both at the same time. And I do want to say, I just saw an email that Ingram does have a free code for the month of February. A free upload code saves you $49. It is all capital letters, book, BOOK, love, LOVE. So book love. You can upload titles free to IngramSpark for the month of February. So feel free to use that one. But so you upload there. If you're doing your ebook, so if your ebook is exclusive to Amazon, it's in Kindle Select for Kindle Unlimited, that means your ebook only is exclusive on Amazon. Then you're done with the ebook. But if you are going wide, if you did not do Kindle Select and you want your ebook to be available everywhere, you can either upload it to IngramSpark at that time or draft to digital. I personally prefer draft to digital. I like the tools that they have. I think the metadata changes are a little bit quicker, and I also think the interface is a little bit easier to use. So I personally would upload my ebook and paperback to KDP, any print copies, paperback, hardcover to IngramSpark, and then my ebook to draft to digital if I was going wide. And you can do that all simultaneously. And then you can either set pre-orders so they go live at the right time, or you can wait and just publish them when you're ready. Excuse me. So you have those options. Do cover and content paperback files that work on KDP work on IngramSpark? Good question. If the book is the same trim size, so if you are doing a 5x8 on KDP and a 5x8 on IngramSpark, Your interior file will work for both of those, but your cover file will not. The IngramSpark cover size is a little bit different than the KDP cover size. So you would need to get your cover file sized for IngramSpark and KDP, or else your spine will be off and sometimes you'll get errors. So essentially the same file, but you need two different sizes, one for IngramSpark and one for KDP. And make sure you're using the template for that website. All right, let me not click that. All right, so I had a couple of questions come in by email and I wanted to make sure we covered those. So Eileen, can a self-published author hire a publicist to promote the author's work? Absolutely, you can. You can hire a publicist, a marketing company. You can do just different marketing promos, as long as you have the funds to cover that. Now, I do see this quite a bit when people are talking about true PR. If you're looking for media coverage, you're looking for people to do press releases and pitch you to, I'm not even saying top tier. I'm not talking about Oprah. I'm talking about local news. Like even that kind of PR, you typically will spend, everyone swallow your coffee so you don't spit it out. For a PR company, a true PR company, you are typically looking at $3,000 to $10,000 a month on a minimum of a 6-month contract for PR. Please know this is not marketing. This is not pulling out ads in Amazon and different things like that. This is brand and name recognition. This is trying to get you on podcasts and local media stations and things like that. 3 to 10 grand. And so you can hire those people, and some people will, and that's just fine. But I think it's important that people have that understanding. And then there are marketing firms that will have any range of pricing depending on what you want. Some of them will let you shop out different things. You can just do Amazon ads, you can just do Facebook ads. And then there are programs that actually are more encompassing and they look at your overall platform and they fold multiple things in. Depends on the company. Now, even marketing firms, many of them will have plans that range anywhere for like a one item thing that might just take a month. I see them sometimes as low as like $500. And then for a bigger marketing plan, you can be looking at 6 months for 20 grand. It really just depends on, number one, what you want, and number two, what the company offers. So you may need to shop around to find someone that meets your needs. And yes, I see support over in the chat box. News Shelves is a marketing firm. I like to say that we're kind of where publishing, consulting, marketing, and PR meet, because News Shelves, oftentimes we do consulting with authors as they are producing their book. And the reason why that we kind of tripped into that is because it's so much easier to market a book that is professionally published. So we do publishing consulting as you're getting the book ready if you're an indie author, but we also work with indie, hybrid, and traditional authors on book marketing campaigns. And some of that does segue a little bit into PR. Sometimes it's press releases. We do marketing to bookstores and libraries, ads of pretty much all types, Amazon, Facebook. It really depends on the author and the book. We do customized marketing plans. So I think that's one of the things that people do have to understand is some marketing companies just say, no, this is our package. We offer this package. It's $5,000 and this is what you'll get. Take it or leave it. And then some companies will be more customized. It just kind of depends on the company, how big it is, who you'll be in contact with. Some of it is, here's the marketing plan and we're just going to tell you what to do and then you kind of carry it out. And others are, I'll do it for you, but you're only going to make sales or get marketing as long as I do it. And then when I leave, your sales stop. There's a lot that goes into it. So you've got to decide what your goals are, what your budget is, and then what you want to do with it, what your ideas for marketing are, and then see if there's a company out there that works well for you or that will change your mind. I've had people come in and say, I'm going to do this. And I will say, okay, you can do that, but I think it's a terrible idea. I would do this, this, and this. Sometimes they're like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And sometimes it's like, well, could we mix this and this? And that certainly happens too. But I always recommend customized marketing plan. I always say no two books are the same. No two authors are exactly the same. So you should have customization options. That doesn't mean there aren't kind of standards. Like I always look at Amazon ads. I always look at social media. I always look at libraries and bookstores, but there are plenty of books where I say, your book's not meant for bookstores, but we could really market to libraries. So I think it's just different, right? So there's that. Hopefully that gives you enough information to feel empowered, but not too much information. I don't want to scare you off, but I do want to empower you to go check it out. I thought it was so interesting. I'm subscribed to all the newsletters. We've talked about my like industry FOMO. And so I am subscribed to Publishers Lunch. And I got this newsletter yesterday saying that Hachette Book Group has raised their entry-level pay to $47,500 per year, which is up from $45,000 for employees in high cost locations. So whenever people talk about the publishing industry and do you make money, because authors a lot of times are like, we don't make a lot of money. You must be making tons of money. I think this is really interesting that people going into publishing do it typically for the love of books, because starting pay for these people who oftentimes have degrees in marketing, masters, bachelors, just depends, are going in high cost locations with an upgrade at $47,000, which I think is crazy. And that is on the higher end. Actually, Simon and Schuster is at the very top, where their entry pay is typically around $50,000. HarperCollins and Random House are $45,000, and then Macmillan pays $42,000. So I just thought that was very interesting. I thought you guys might find it interesting to see what actually people in the publishing industry make. Now, I'm not talking about CEOs of companies, especially big companies. I know that they make much more, but the average person working in publishing does not. And some of those, by the way, that base pay was an expanded 40-hour week in high cost areas like New York City. So it's always good to kind of know what the whole view is of an industry, not just indie, not just traditional, but like how it all works and how different people get paid, because I think that's crazy. Yeah, and as Keri is saying, $42,000 is about $21 an hour, but that's if it's a 40-hour work week. And these are for expanded work weeks. Now, can you imagine, even at $21 an hour, living in New York City? New York City ain't cheap. Or California. California is not cheap. So I think it's very interesting. And thank you, Tara, for doing math for me, so I didn't have to do it. Let's see. I know you need a price barcode for IngramSpark, but should you need a price barcode for Amazon KDP? So I do recommend you have a price barcode for IngramSpark, because it's required by a lot of retailers and chains in order for them to carry your book in their store. So IngramSpark, in my mind, is a non-negotiable. You need a price barcode. On KDP, not as much, because KDP is selling direct. So that is completely up to you. I have people who don't put it on there. That way they don't have to bother with it. They change their price. And then I have some people who put it on there because they want all their books to look more uniform. Kind of a personal decisions there. Let's see. Yeah, so if you're working with library marketing from New Shelves or anywhere else, it's important to realize how libraries sales kind of work and how the ordering process goes. So when some libraries get sent information on a book and they're deciding whether or not to purchase it, some of the big libraries can say, yep, want that right now, I'm going to put it on my order for this week. Some of them, but some of them it actually can take much longer. They may be waiting for a budget period, which typically either happens quarterly or twice yearly. Some of the bigger libraries will do monthly, but usually it's more quarterly. So they may be doing that. Smaller libraries may actually have to put a wish list together that goes up to a larger library chain where it gets approved by a director and then ordered. And that process can sometimes take a month. It can take 3 months, just depends on their system. But one thing we know for sure is that libraries are running typically through a government system, and that runs slow. So if you are marketing to libraries either directly or through like a New Shelves library mailing, it is not unusual to see an increase in sales, maybe right away, but typically it takes about a 3-month period to see those sales come in either through your publisher or through libraries. And then it's really important to know that WorldCat updating can be even longer. Number one, WorldCat's not a given. WorldCat's a helpful tool, but it's not something that every library participates in. So they may or may not catalog your book in WorldCat, or they may not have a subscription to WorldCat, which means it's not going to show up on WorldCat. WorldCat may say 14 libraries carrying the book, and they're only showing 2, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Well, those libraries don't subscribe to WorldCat, so they don't put their information up there. And in some cases, again, libraries are slow. It can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years for them to catalog and put your book in the library system, in the WorldCat system. So if you have a PCIP block, which is a publisher's catalog and publication block, you are more likely to accelerate that pace because you already have that cataloging block and it's less work for the library. But that doesn't mean it happens overnight. It can still take weeks to months. So it is one of those things, again, that it's a slow process. And part of it too, when you do any big mailing, whether it be with New Shelves, if you're doing it with IBPA or you're doing it with another company, when you're doing any big mailing, keep in mind the average person has to see a book multiple times to buy it. Sometimes they'll buy it right away, but sometimes not. So when you're doing a mailing like that, if you're not directly reaching out to a single library and connecting with them and asking them to buy your book, anything where you are going to multiple libraries, it gives you an absolute shot of sales, but part of what you're getting as well is that PR effect of name awareness and brand recognition. So that's something to consider as well. And I know, when the audiobook launches, will buyers be able to buy hard copies or will it only be for download into their account? Okay, so for audiobooks, if we're talking about audiobooks on librarians through Overdrive, that would be a online, an MP3 that would be available. That's not like a disc. Very rarely do we actually see audiobooks on disc anymore. And when we do, it's not coming from like Findaway Voices. That's actually like a third party that's getting the discs made and then distributing them. So most indie authors will not have actual discs or a physical audiobook. It's all going to be in the cloud. Yeah, I love libraries. I think they are totally overlooked way too often. And so it's been great. Yeah, Gretchen, if you want to email me directly, just email info@newshelves.com and I can get you some more information. All right. What's the best calculation for pricing a book for libraries? Is there a sweet spot? Typically, your print book is just your print book price. It's the retail price is what the library pays minus any wholesale discount. So if your book's on Ingram at a 40% discount, it's what a library pays. If you're talking about digital assets like an ebook or a paperback, or I'm sorry, an ebook or an audiobook, you typically are going to price your book at 2 to 3 times the retail price. So that means, look, we're going to math. I knew I couldn't get away from it. If we have a $10 ebook, then you may list it to librarians for $20 or $30. Here's the thing though. Most libraries now work on a cost per checkout basis, which means they're not just paying you they're not paying you $20. Let's say the library price is $20. They're not just paying you $20. What they're doing is they're adding it to their catalog. And if someone checks it out, they pay per checkout. and they pay 1/10 of the price, which means every time someone checks it out, they're paying $2 on that 20. So if they get 10 checkouts, you get your 20 bucks. If they don't, then maybe you only get $2 or $4. The reason why this happened is that it was less risk for a library because they're not licensing at high fees for a book that may not be popular. So this gives indie authors kind of a foot in the door because it's not as much risk for libraries to list your book in their catalog. So that cost per checkout model is meant to kind of give you an avenue to get in. Now it does stink because the library may take your book and you could only get 2 checkouts and then you're making $4 and you didn't make the full price. But on the flip side, your book could go viral and you could be getting 100 checkouts and then you'd be making $200. So it's got some pros and cons, but cost per checkout is typically what we're seeing now. And you would price your ebook or your audiobook at 2 to 3 times the retail price for that. I love this. Do you need your own ISBN, not Amazon's, to get into libraries? Not necessarily. There are some caveats. I always recommend you have your own ISBN. We know that. I won't get on my soapbox today. We can find an old recording of that. But if you are using Amazon for your print books and you're in expanded distribution, your book's available from Ingram. So libraries do order not only from Amazon, about 1/3 of them will order directly from Amazon if they want a book that badly, but they can also order from Ingram. And so they can order it through the expanded distribution with the Amazon ISBN. So it can be done. Now you can't set the terms and your book may not have the same distribution opportunities because of that for retail stores, but for paperback print, you can do that. The ebook is different because if your ebook is up on Kindle and you don't have it up anywhere else or it's not on your ISBN, it's not getting to libraries because it's not in the overdrive system. You typically would want to use IngramSpark or Draft to Digital for that. And there is a lot of talk out in the marketplace and author groups of, oh, you don't need an ISBN for ebooks. No, you know what I'm going to say. I disagree because here's the thing is that when you assign an ISBN for your ebook. Now, let me be very clear. This is for ebooks that may go wide at some point in time. This is not for books that are exclusive on Kindle. If your book is only being uploaded to Kindle for Kindle Unlimited, it's exclusive there. They don't really use an ISBN, so it's not really doing much. In that case, you don't necessarily need a ISBN for your ebook. But if you ever intend to take your ebook wide, if you're not going to do Kindle Unlimited, so your book's available on Amazon, and you're also using Draft to Digital for libraries and Barnes & Noble, or you're going directly and uploading to the Barnes & Noble app, and you're uploading to Kobo and iBooks and Google Play, you want your ISBN because number one, that ISBN allows sales tracking across platforms. That mattered, especially if you were doing something like, I know we don't currently have the USA Today bestseller list, but when that was tracking, they tracked that ISBN across platforms and it counted towards that bestseller list. You also want it because if you're marketing to librarians, you want to be able to give them a single ISBN that can be used on any platform. Same for the paperback. We don't want a paperback on Amazon with one ISBN and the same paperback on Ingram with a different ISBN. It makes it confusing and it doesn't make you look as professional and legitimate as you would want to. So it's possible to get into libraries with an Amazon ISBN, but I don't recommend it. I recommend you own your own ISBN. And as I've always said, yes, it's a little bit more money. You can get in the US, you can get 10 ISBNs for about $300, which makes them about $30 a piece. But you've put so much into your book. Why would you bail at the last minute? Take a little bit longer if you need to, save up and get your own ISBNs. I couldn't help it. I had to get on my soapbox just a little bit. Let me see. Is there a way to know if and which libraries bought your book? Nope, not unless they catalog in WorldCat or they tell you, hey, I bought your book. And the reason why is because anywhere a library is going to buy a book, whether it be Amazon or Ingram or Overdrive, they only give you the information that a sale was made. They cannot share customer information because of privacy laws. So unless you do physically see on WorldCat that they're cataloging your book, or the library says, hey, we bought your book, you don't know who bought your book. You just know that there's a sale, which stinks, but also, again, is for the protection of the consumer, just like we wouldn't want our information shared far and wide every time we bought something. Let's see. Oops. I did that one. Yep, no audio disc, even through Amazon, Trina. Audio disc, actually, most cars now, newer cars, don't even have that. A lot of computers don't have disc spot. So actual physical discs and things for a audiobook are trending out. They're more expensive to make, and then they get scratched, all sorts of things. So they're definitely trending out. Sorry, guys. Sorry. All right. I know we had another email question. I want to respect and get to that one. Oh, this was another one asking about someone had been given an offer from someone who said they were a publisher. They said, you know, we want to represent you. We have rights. We've got direct contacts with the Big Five and Penguin, and we want to republish your book. We can make you so much money. It's not going to cost you anything, except for there was a lot of fine print and it was going to. So again, guys, scammers are out there. Be wary. Do your homework, do your research, because we don't want you to fall for that, because it never ends well. Yes. Oh, and that's great. Yes, you can get you can get a discount for ISBNs through IBPA if you're a member. Just one more reason to join IBPA. And join me at the IBPA conference right outside of San Diego in May. I hope I see lots of you there. This question here we go. Valerie, I didn't forget you. I see your questions. All right. I've heard cautionary tales about asking for book reviews. Is it okay to post on my website and social media pages asking that people consider leaving a review? And can I do a giveaway of some sort as an incentive to encourage leaving a review? So, can you ask for reviews? Yes. Can you do a giveaway for reviews? No, you cannot, because that's considered a payment. So let's go over some of the rules of book reviews for when you're actually doing like a starred review on Amazon, something like that. Can you ask for book reviews? Yes, you can. You cannot ask for a positive or a 5-star review. What you can do is say, if you've read my book, I'd love your feedback. Please consider leaving a review online. Also, it's technically against the terms of Amazon service to specifically ask for a review on Amazon. So I've never really seen people get dinged for that, honestly. I think it's one of those things they can if they want to, but they don't necessarily have to. So that's just one thing to consider. You may want to just say online. I usually say your favorite retailer or book review site, because most people immediately go, oh yeah, on Amazon. So you can ask for book reviews. You can even offer free copies of your book. What you cannot do, this is where it gets tricky. You can offer free copies of your book as a ARC or advanced reader copy, where you're saying, yeah, I'll gladly give you a copy of my book. What you cannot say is, I'll give you a copy of my book if you promise to review it, because then that is considered payment. You are paying the reader for the review with your book. That's not allowed. What you can do is give the reader a copy of your book, either ebook or print, and say, here's a copy of my book. I'd love if you'd consider reading it. And if you feel you're able, please leave a review. I would appreciate it. So you can ask. You cannot enter an agreement that they will review if you do give them that book. It's crazy, the little fine details. And so same thing happens with, we cannot say, if you go and leave a review on my book, let me know and I'll enter you into a drawing for a gift card, because that is considered payment. So you cannot do that either. You would have to have that giveaway open for literally everybody. So no, you can't do that. You can ask for reviews as long as you word it in a specific way. You cannot in any way pay or run a giveaway for people who leave reviews. And as far as how to add captions to YouTube videos, yes. So some of you, I actually had someone notice the other day, and they're like, why are you posting the Facebook video? Because it has the little Zoom watermark. They're like, why are you posting the Facebook video? You know, you could record straight from Zoom and probably be better quality for your YouTube videos. It's like, yeah, I know, but Zoom isn't doing closed captions anymore. So Facebook, if I stream onto Facebook and I download that Facebook video, it creates captions for me. And then we have captions on YouTube, which is nice for people watching it, but also it's really inclusive of those who may be hearing impaired or who may need that extra support in the captions. So that's one option. There is also a number of resources like apps and things that will do this for you. One is called ClipScribe. They do it. It's fairly inexpensive. On my computer through Microsoft, I have Clipchamp, and it's like a video editing software. In Clipchamp, there's a little setting where I can set it and it will do captions. I do have to read through them and kind of update things, but it's really easy to do, a little time consuming. But it's very easy to do. So if I'm doing like a video that's shorter or it's not for Advice Friday, which I do so often, I will go into that program and I will actually fix my captions there. YouTube can create captions too, but only if the video format allows for it. There are some videos that actually don't do that and block it. So there's crazy things out there. So many different things to keep in mind. And also, some people don't know that you can hit that caption mark on YouTube. So lots of different options, find an app, do different things. And it depends too. Are people even watching on YouTube? Maybe you're using this video on Facebook and you want it available. So it all just depends. All right. I think that was the 2 questions there, Val. So you're all set. And I think, did I get all the questions? Oh, the other question is putting your ebook on pre-order with Amazon worth it? For a children's book, it's probably honestly not, Pat. For a children's book, most people are not going to be going to Amazon to buy your ebook. So unless you have a specific reason, if you have an adult book, yes, there are reasons for promotion, as well as if it's in a series that lets people know the next one's coming and they can follow it that way. But I do typically recommend, if you're doing marketing and promotion of a paperback or print copy, that you do consider pre-order if you are going to market it. Don't put it up there, just have it up there. But if you're going to put out for professional reviews, which require 3 to 4 months in advance, or you're doing marketing lead up and you need links for like blog tours, I do recommend that you create a pre-order for your ebook, but for your print book as well. All right. All right, you guys, it's 11 o'clock and I've got to run. If I didn't get to your question today, I am so sorry. Please email it to me. I'll save it for next week. I will see you here, same time, same place, Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll take your questions live. Thanks for being here with me today, and I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Bye, guys.